That
Sorry.
is a diversion rate, and we're already collecting like diverted pounds to pigs.
right?
So yeah, I think it's worthwhile.
Okay. Yeah, that wouldn't be that hard to do.
I wonder if that's just like a separate weight entry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like it should be differentiated, right? Like there does
Yeah,
seem like that the value is less, but also like not, it's not nothing. Pounds. Okay. So just wanted to say hi to Alan because I didn't say hi yet. Hello, Alan, welcome. Um, so now that we've kind of like got most of the people here, I think that are gonna be here. I wanted to give an update on the process of planning for this coming glean. And there's a couple things that we have to think about. The first is that cherries are difficult to get because of deer and birds and other things eating the cherries. So we have to think about that. Alan has helped me remember that is an important thing. But I do have potentially 2 sites that they've said they've got cherries in the past around this time of year, and their trees are looking good. And I'm gonna do 2 site checks at these places to just check on the fruit. But I was thinking that we go ahead and plan for this glean for the 29th. And if we have to, we can always cancel. Like there's always that possibility. If we find out like, oh, there's actually no fruit here to pick. And the other thing is there might not be that many cherries to pick. So I think making sure that we don't have too many people on this first glean, I think is going to be important, that we're not like, I haven't put it out on Facebook yet because I didn't want to get like, 10 people signed up who got excited. And then it was like, oh, it turns out we have like, it's going to take us like 30 minutes to glean this one site and like 20 for the other. And it's not going to be very much. So I'm kind of thinking of it as like a soft open, like we'll probably just have, me, Alan, Robert, and then was there somebody else signed up? I think.
No, but there was a kid. Remember the one kid that came a couple meetings ago, needed volunteer hours.
I
Oh
wondered
yeah,
if he had been in touch. Yeah,
He
I'm
was,
trying to think of,
Garrett, I think maybe.
I think that sounds right.
Let me look at it. Well, he's not signed up yet, but yeah.
I would go out and
Oh.
maybe call him up and say, hey, you want to do this? Just anyway, just go out and touch them and say, oh, by the way, it's out there.
Yeah.
School just ended, and Olympic High School or Olympic College had their graduation on the 17th, which was a couple days ago, and
Okay.
for the Running Start kids. So
I was gonna
he,
say, this person I met, it was with the backpack brigade, and it was, oh, her name I think is Sharon and Rainey. And Rainey's 16 and she's in Running Start and she's getting her license. And she's really interested in being a part of Gleaning over the summer because there's no backpack program during the summer. And she's like, yeah, that sounds really cool. I wonder if it would be good to like get her pulled in just so she has the experience and like, is that something she wants to kind of grow into? I could reach out to her if I mean if you had a room for her. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll reach out to her and give her
think you
the
ought to reach
invite.
out to like new people that need a little bit of training or whatever, like me, and that those 16-year-olds, right? And that way we can figure it out, and then the second time around, you can get more people if you need more people. And
Mm-hmm.
they could just take their little friends and go, "This is what you want to do."
They're little
Would you
friends.
be going, Ashley?
I haven't signed up yet. That day's a little hectic, but I definitely can come for at least an hour to glean that day. So if that's okay, I'll probably come for an hour.
Sure,
an
yeah.
Are you an
Hectic day, and
experienced
she's like,
cleaner?
but I want to fit this in too.
I did. I really wanted to make it work.
Is she an experienced cleaner?
I've never gleaned. I've been stowed away up in the warehouse for the last year and a half.
Oh, okay.
So I'm finally coming out.
All right.
And who knows, maybe it'll only be, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what it even will how it exactly will pan out. But I did want to say, Alan had another idea when we were talking about this, and he had the idea that if there isn't any fruit, we could potentially offer what is it, thinning services to a homeowner who has had us glean out there a bunch in the past. And that would really help get better quality fruit if we're able to help her thin. And that would just require people bringing like a pair of scissors, and then we would just be thinning fruit, which I think is a cool idea because it is something that Kitsap Harvest I think could do really well at, is like helping people care for their trees and helping getting volunteers organized to do those kind of things. But it's kind of like we don't have the greatest capacity to do it right now, but it's like, oh, here's this kind of good opportunity where like we don't have fruit quite yet. So yes, Alan.
Well, the other thing is that if we thin the pears and apples on the 29th, then when we come back on September 1st to pick the pears and apples that are there that we've thinned will be a lot bigger, a lot better for us, so that instead of spending 1 or 2 sessions with them, by adding the thinning part, we'll actually be spending 3 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is great. This is something we've done in the past, gone out and done some thinning. It's really helpful with a later harvest. And I think if your cherry glean turns into a thinning event, you'll have a nice list of who attended, and that's an invite back. Like, come back and see what your work did. You know, we want to invite you out to that glean. I think that's a great idea. An alternate, plan B. It's a worst case scenario, worst case scenario is still best.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, we connected with the high school group. Paisley, you'll remember this. And we thinned the apples and the plums at Kim Ward's place. Right about this same time.
It was not last year because her apple tree was like not thinned last year.
It was a couple of years ago.
Okay, yeah. And we just had a class on thinning and watering, so it's like so applicable.
Yeah,
I should
normally
be an expert.
we don't get involved with a lot of thinning. We wind up showing up, and being invited, and okay, here's 2 apple trees that are loaded with apples, but they're kind of small. Sure would have been nice if these would have been thinned about 2 months ago.
Yeah, for sure. So I think Alan, you're gonna reach out to the Sherrys, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, great. That's perfect.
But I'm
And
going to find
then
out from you how your site check on the cherries turned out.
yeah, I'm gonna do that either tomorrow or the next day to go
Okay.
check on those, and then I will email you guys about that. So yeah, here, I'll share my screen again real quick to show you. So this is that Glean Planner shared document. And here we have like the time frame of duty, I called it. And the Glean planners, we had me, Alan, and Paisley. And then I added in some extra notes here. But I then had sites for the cluster glean, and this is based on Airtable. And so these sites here were all kind of in the Bremerton Silverdale area. And the two sites in green are actually not that close to each other. I wish they were closer, but there's just so little out there that we have. So they're about 20 minutes away, which I don't know. I feel like that's kind of far. But like one is in what is it, like downtown Bremerton, and the other is in almost Silverdale. But I don't know. If they have both really good cherries, then I feel like it might be worth it. So I don't know if
It's
you guys have.
fun. The more you can kind of fit in there. I mean, I know like you're trying to fit it into a pocket of time, but I've had people do the big follow and go down to Brian Johnson's place, and by the time you're done, you've touched so much fruit. It's just kind of fun, and people don't mind doing the caravan. I mean, if you can, I say go for it and don't be, scared to try. Like, will volunteers keep up? Most of them do, or in my experience has been that they like it.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's great. And so let's see. Yeah, like some of these people, like Melissa Watkinson, I called her and I left her an email, but she hasn't responded yet. This lady had told me, so if you can see it, I like have their contact info, and then I have the notes from when I talked to them or texted with them or emailed. And then this one was the lady who really thought that she probably would have some cherries. This person never got back to me. This person, he has plums, and I don't think that they're going to be ready yet. Alan would probably know better than me. Alan, do you think there's any chance his plums would be ready by the 29th, or probably not?
Well, if we had between tomorrow and the 29th, 75 plus degrees every day, it might be possible. But right now they're half the size that they're going to be, and they're definitely green.
Yeah.
And we are what, 12 days away?
10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 10
Yeah,
days
10
away.
days, because 29.
And I will be out amongst the yellow plums next week on the 25th and 26th. Actually, the 24 and 25. So next Monday and Tuesday, I will be standing next to yellow plums. So I'll know
Okay.
about them. And
Okay.
I
Yeah.
and I'm
think there's a
thinking,
name, Renee Doyle. She had like these really purple plums, and her stuff was like always like 4th of July. If I was getting to it after the 4th of July, I was too late. She was like always one of the
Oh.
first ones. She would have come in, and I think I did it 2018, 2019. I think the name is Renee
Hmm.
Doyle, and she's over like in the Tracington area. Not Tracington, just on the other side of the Warren Avenue Bridge over on the Lebo side.
And Lebo Boulevard over there by baseball field, right?
Huh. I don't
Yeah, they got
see
the
that in our.
we're about 2 weeks behind right now, Paisley.
okay, things are about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, sorry, you guys are just seeing me
April
go
and May
through.
were not real
Well, you
great.
know how to dig through. That's pretty cool.
Lots of experience.
A lot of digging. Yeah.
So
Uh,
I
Okay.
got a question, just,
can you do like a control F on any of
Yeah.
that?
Okay, Robert, what's your question?
this is just a general, how'd you pick these sites this week? I know
Uh,
experience. I know Alan's gonna go, that's just experience, but I would say, did you go to Airtable and search by, like
Oh.
last year? There was a column that said, when you picked everything, and I went to that Airtable and I just sorted all the Junes together. And there was like five different places where you went in June last year. or in
These are
3
all
years.
distributions, Stephanie. So it's just gonna be like where I got stuff from and how many pounds went to these different locations. We need the one with the addresses.
Okay. Okay. I'll look for that later.
Yeah,
That's
I'm sorry about that.
You have such a good memory. I'm always impressed.
Thank you for saying that because I believe such of the opposite, but that, yes, it's weird what I do remember.
To answer Robert's question, so over here under views, we have all the date timeframes split
Yeah,
up.
so what I did was
So-
I clicked on that June 1st to the 15th, and I remember
Yeah.
seeing like 4 or 5 places or whatever. Probably.
Yeah. So like June 1 through 15. Some of these, let's see. Apple, Asian pear, fig, cherry. 2 years of about 1 pound, but the birds or chipmunks ate them first. Yeah, so that's too bad. It's so sad. Another thing that's just random, but I was like, we should really be helping people cover their trees, like with netting. I know that City Fruit in Seattle does that. They like go around and net people's trees. And I was like, oh, that'd be so cool. I feel like that would make a really big difference. But it does sound hard. I don't really know. I don't know how much netting costs. I don't know how hard that would be. Alan's laughing at me.
I've done it before.
Oh, really?
It's a nightmare.
Oh.
So
Well,
you look at
I
this
was
and
gonna,
you just start calling them and say to get your the typical ones that you do.
what you do
Yeah.
is you incorporate it into one of the classes. You bring out all of the trainees to one of our sites and you teach them how to net a tree. Voila. The more trainings we have, the more trees get covered. It's a
That's
win-win.
good. Yeah. Okay, sorry, Robert. All of this is laid out in that planner
Yeah.
handbook. I don't know if you've looked at that, but I did try to like spell it out exactly how to do it.
Did you
So-
send that to me, or is it something I find on this? It's like the Airtable. I just have a big table that has all the information in it.
Yeah, so if you go to the meeting agenda that I sent out,
Yes.
down here at the bottom, resources for volunteers, I have the Glean Planner handbook that you can click on.
Okay.
And that's gonna like show you, just like take you step by step through that process of what I've kind of been doing. But every homeowner is different. So like a couple of those people I called, a couple of them I emailed, and if somebody had filled out the form pretty recently, then they would have specified what their contact preferences are. And so I try to look at that and contact them based on what they said. So I know that like Rihanna Schul, I was texting with her, and so that worked out well for her. But I know some people don't always want to be texted on their personal phone. So yeah, it just kind of depends. But the reason I chose these sites because they're all close to each other. And then I just started contacting them and then finding out more about each thing and then just putting notes. And so, yeah, that's all outlined on that Gleaning planner
Can I
handbook.
ask,
Yeah, I went to
Can I
look
ask
for it the
a-
other day and I couldn't find it. So I was like,
Yeah. What's up, Paisley?
question. So I'm thinking like if I was a Glean planner, what I think I heard you say is when you first start thinking about putting together a cluster glean,
Yeah.
you look on the map in your time frame in your window and you kind of see where your your most dense bunch is. And so maybe that's where I would start with like my call list. But then
Yeah.
as I'm calling and I'm finding things out more and more, maybe my area changes based on what I'm learning about availability of fruit. So
Mhm.
that like first initial cluster, you're kind of saying that has potential of moving depending on what you're finding out.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you see like 5 sites that are all together, but there might be like a cluster of 3, in like Paulsbo, but there's like 5 in Bremerton. I would probably start with the 5 in Bremerton because it's like more likely that, those are all going to be some of those are going to turn out. But if like 4 of them, end up not being something we can glean, then maybe I'll go try those other 3 sites in Paulsbo.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what I was
Okay.
doing. And then down here, I had the Nimble Gleans, and these are like those other sites. And so I did start contacting them as well. And I found out that a couple of these people, like John Butler, he said that the deer got all his cherries. So that was sad. Um, and then Dorothy Powell Cares said that she wanted me to contact her in 2 weeks. So I'm gonna have to do that. That was on 6/12. And then Tracy Bjorge, she left me this message. And so I talked to Alan already, and he's gonna go take a look at her site, because that's in Port Orchard. And then we also have John Gailey, which is another site in Port Orchard that Alan is gonna go take a look at. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
So if you get a whole bunch of these nibbles and they in Port Orchard that look like they could be a cluster, then you can cluster them together on a weekend then?
Potentially, but like we're only doing one cluster every weekend. So like we'd have to make sure that it's going to be ripe the next weekend as well, and that
Sure.
there's that chance that the birds ate them all or something. So I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
limited resources, our ability to go back to places. You need to have more glean leads because you're going to end up missing the fruit that's ready right now if you're going back for the fruit that was ready last week. You just do the best you can week to week. And the more you grow your, people that are experienced, and feel comfortable leading, I don't know, it takes time, but yeah, there's always kind of this process. It's a little slow and it's hard not getting to all of them. It's really hard, but that's just kind of the truth.
But
Mhm.
these guys here are not the only ones that have fruit out there. These guys are the only ones that have fruit right now. Because I remember you saying a couple weeks ago that there's 198 spots you go to. And that's
Yeah,
quite
I
a few.
think. Sorry.
That's quite a few to have over like 10, 12 weeks. You hit every time or hit multiple
Yeah.
times.
No, and I don't think we've ever been to like 198 sites in a season. I think last year we gleaned like 72 times, I want to say, and some of those were repeat sites. So yeah, some
You
of these
had
sites,
some, you
yeah.
had something, I think the most we ever gleaned was in 2019. I mean, if you look back on that records, I think that was the highest we'd ever amount wise, and the number of, I don't know if there's a way of looking at that, but there was a lot of work happening then. We've had weird stuff happen since. Like we had the year with no fruit. We had the year of COVID. I mean, it's just been really hard to kind of get back to where we were at. And Kim's on the phone right now. Kim was a part of that. She came out to we had so many gleans. It was just happening. And she'd stick with me like through the day and we go boom, boom, boom. Yeah. But I was a little,
That's awesome.
I was crazy. That was just me, just keep going, 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 and that's not sustainable. So
So
That's why I've been on hiatus.
I just like try to grab my head, wrap my arms around this. So it would be great if we could contact all 198 and find out whether or not they have viable fruit. But if they don't have viable fruit, then where they say, no, the bird's got it, then you crossed it out. And so it's like, that's more off the list, right?
Mm-hmm. It is a good idea, I think. The
At least touch
problem I've
base with
had,
everybody.
yeah, it's just hard because not everybody gets back to you when you email them, you know?
When you try
So,
once, try twice, and then go to the next.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good point. And I again was talking to Alan today, and Alan, you can jump in if you want, but I know that like you were saying that a lot of the purple plums are just non-existent in Port Orchard, and so that probably is similar across other areas of the county.
Yeah, plums, apples and pears look like they're going to be a problem. The people who have yellow plums, well, two of the people that I ran into who have yellow plums, their trees are loaded. But the people who have the not so much purple, the Italian plums, and then the purple plums that come a week after the yellow ones, those trees are bare right now. They did not get pollinated. And there's a lot of apple trees that normally would be loaded with apples. They have very few apples on them right now. So this is going to be the third year in a row that it's going to be hit and miss on sort of output from the trees.
That's interesting to hear, Alan, up in North Kitsap. I have not noticed that. My grandma has a kind of a mottled plum that's kind of purple on one side and yellow on the other. I don't know what it's called, but we process hundreds or thousands of plums every year. And this year looks like it's going to be a better plum year than last year. Looks like we have a lot of green plums. Also, our apple trees are looking pretty loaded. I was picking some of the little ones off the other day.
Well, it's definitely a regional thing, even microclimate.
Yeah, the north end of Kitsap County gets a little bit more of the rain shadow than
Yeah.
the center and south.
That's interesting. Yeah. I know some people in Seebeck that have an apple tree and it has a lot of apples on it. And so I don't know, it's super interesting.
Now, a couple of years ago, we had all that wood smoke in the area. Does that affect the fruit?
I feel like it, oh, sorry.
Only
Alan,
from soot.
So
I think the honey had a smoky flavor. I think that smoke carried into things. We had to shut Gleans down though, because the smoke was just too much. You know, it was like, yeah, people shouldn't be out there.
Yeah,
So that's another one
air
of those
quality
things
was real
that'll
poor.
because I
Yeah.
know Eastern Washington, some of their grapes got smoke induced into them.
So interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this summer goes. But I guess thinking to this glean that we want to have, and we'll see how it goes. Sorry, excuse me. I was gonna say, Robert, I'm gonna be your co-pilot for the equipment wrangler, if that's okay with you, unless you found somebody.
Who's that? You are or someone else is?
I was gonna do it,
Oh, okay.
if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, awesome. And then me and Alan are kind of gonna like, if Alan's okay, if Alan, you're okay with this, I'm gonna say we're gonna like be the co-leads for this glean. And this is all, you know, dependent on if we're gonna be able to do fruit if we're gonna be able to pick anything. I don't know, like, I don't think we need the truck because I don't think it's gonna be that much fruit. But I'm wondering, Paisley, do you think it's okay if we take it out just as like a trial run?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
yeah,
I
no,
just
it
don't want it to
totally
feel
seems.
ridiculous.
Oh, no, I think, you do everything as you would plan that it would be done. That's what a test run's all about. Yeah, I mean, let's see how it plays out. Exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
one thing we're gonna, I don't know if now is the time to think. I'm always thinking about it. We need to figure out how to tie down our rack. And so I'm hoping that I can get approval on getting those strips that I was telling you about for the tie down. So, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a tight turnaround to get it down by the 29th. But it kind of
Yeah.
has to be anyway due to our billing. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay.
What are you trying
Okay.
to do?
The gleaning cart has
Oh,
wheels, like, yeah. So it's like, you don't want it in the back of the
oh,
truck going
inside
side to
side.
side, forward, backward.
Do you have little eyelets on the walls?
Not yet. Not yet. Exactly.
Is that
Yeah,
something
we
B
got to
and
have
B?
a.
Is that something B and B could do for you?
I know. I was thinking about it. We got to take the truck in there anyway.
Hmm.
I'm trying to get curtains for the back. And yeah, there's a few things that it would be really nice if they could just do that work for us. So I don't know. It's got to come together. I'm trying. The clock is ticking.
Yeah. I guess for like a temporary solution, we can use those bars that
Great
like
idea. Yes,
do the
yes,
thing.
yes. That's perfect. Oh, finally
Okay.
the bars are needed for a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ooh.
Stephanie, when you go out to Emily Randall's to look at those cherries,
Mhm.
you can be thinking about the truck, because there are some sites where we may need the hauling capacity of the truck, but getting the truck into the site would be problematic.
Mhm.
And Sherry's place would be an example of that. They have a very narrow driveway that I don't think I would want to try to take the truck on.
That's a really good idea. Yeah. Um,
We have any rolling carts? You know, that Lori had one at the farmer's market in Port Orchard a couple weeks ago, and she just took the fruit and the bags from the farmers and put it in this rolling truck, like a little collapsible truck thing. Or not,
Wagon?
wagon, yeah. I'm sorry, truck.
You'd need an apple wagon and you're talking one basket, one collapsible crate, one crate of apples at a time in one of those kind of baskets. And I'm trying to think of something that has big enough tires that, easily fits into the truck that makes sense. We have a hand truck, but it has small
Yeah,
tires.
yeah, yeah, it's small.
Stephanie, like, how about when you check check the driveway? I was thinking maybe the planner can like do a Google map of the place and just, eyeball and see, is this like something we should ask about more? Especially if I don't know.
So I have one of
yeah.
those collapsible things where we just throw the soccer gear into it and drag it out to the field with the pop up and everything, and then set it all up and pull it all back. It probably have about 50, 60 pound capacity.
Yeah. I mean, I think that maybe we're just gonna have to say, we got volunteers and they're gonna have to help us bring stuff down. It's like, everybody grabs what they are gonna use. So it's like, grab your pick and pull and 2 crates and take it with you down, and then you just
Yeah,
carry the full crates
I think
back.
I'm just going to bring it along just in case and go,
well,
no, that won't work.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
volunteers most likely are going to be able to drive down near it and would be willing to put the crates in their vehicle to transport back out to the truck. You know, it's just a matter, is there like a safe place to park the truck that is not at the site, you know, and identifying where that's at. What does that look like? And is that, you know, a safe place to leave the truck, or how that works? I don't think it has to be a big concern, but I think we got to know where the truck will get parked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good.
Well, you know, this is when thinking about our first glean and kind of practicing with the truck, but I think practically between now and October 1st, anytime we are using the truck for transport, we're going to have to sort of site check it to make sure, okay, is this a place that the truck can get in and out of? And I sure wouldn't want to take the truck to a place where we park it a block away and we're pulling a wagon for a block or two with just 2 crates to get to the big truck. I mean, I think in those kind of situations, the 2 or 3 people who have just a regular pickup truck would be more appropriate to try to, you know, move stuff. So using the truck, I think, is going to be really site specific as far as whether we can really use it.
Well, you have your gleaning rack, your crate that has all your tools on it, and you want to empower volunteers to be able to do it. I mean, it's great like using your truck, but I think your truck is an example of putting it in the truck. And yeah, you can absolutely bring it all the way back to the warehouse. We appreciate it, because then we don't have to transfer it to our big truck. I think the big truck always goes. It's also a big walking advertisement. But the other piece about this is, you can take your truck and then we could transfer it, you know, like another volunteer. If it was a volunteer's truck, they could transfer it into ours and not have to drive back to the warehouse per se. So
Yeah.
either way,
Yeah.
Site specific.
Tell you what, as the equipment wrangler and the driver for the first glean, I'll take your addresses and go and look at them and say, I don't know if I'm going to get into there, or I'll find a place with my little Nissan Leaf. I'll find a place, but not for a truck. And you know, I'll run around and do a site survey and go, yeah, I can go there, or I can go there.
Are you saying you could do that like this week, or
Sure.
you're saying for, oh, okay. Because I
Maybe
mean,
next-
I'm gonna
or
be,
maybe next week or something. Well, it's not the 29th until another 10 days, right?
correct.
So
Yeah.
I'm kind of,
I mean, I think making a part of the site checker, and actually this is a good segue because I did want to talk about site checking. So I think we can add that to one of the things the site checker looks at is like, does it look like there's a good spot for a truck to park? And they can even take pictures and upload them to the form and be like, this is a good spot. So I think,
How
yeah,
long
we'll
is the
try
truck?
to, what?
how long is that thing?
I don't know.
well, the box is 16 feet, and
Alright.
so plus the cab
Probably.
is probably, I'd give the cab another 6, so what, like 24? That's not 24.
22,
It's
16,
22.
22. Yeah.
I'm really bad at estimating distances.
I'm just curious because, all right.
Yeah.
I've got flat nose. I think it's 6 foot plus 16.
Somebody, if I
Yeah.
walk around, I go, oh, look at that. If somebody comes up, what are you doing? I go, I'm trying to find out where I could put a 25-foot pedal truck to pick fruit. Oh, a lot of neighbors go over here or over there. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. And I think we're gonna, there might not always be an ideal spot, right? Like it's probably gonna have to go on the side of the road sometimes. And like, I don't know, maybe we need to have some guidelines for the equipment wrangler to be like, this is a good idea for where you should park the truck, and like, try not to park it illegally, I guess.
I know.
I don't
Or
know.
in a ditch.
Or in
you
a
know,
ditch.
on the side of a soft ditch, please try not to,
No, no,
yeah, stay away from soft ditches.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, sides of hills. Don't back down the side of a driveway with a cliff, please. That makes me nervous
Yeah.
just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So going back to the site checking, I was thinking like, I don't really know if we have a good list of site checkers. You know, like I know that we have Alan, Ed, and Paisley. Obviously, you've done it, and I've done it, and Jenny Hoffman did it. But I feel like we need some more site checkers. And I don't know if anybody is interested in this group in becoming a site checker. I know I'm talking to 3 people who already have done it. So, but
So the site checker would do more than just finding a place for where the truck parks, or it would be
yeah, you're like checking on the status of the fruit, checking out the site. It's really nothing that like takes a very long time, and it's something you can do on your own time. It's just like contacting the homeowner and then checking it out. And a lot of homeowners, I think, have said before, like, you know, come by whenever, you know, they don't mind.
do you
And
go
we
and knock
are
on their
getting
door?
lanyards, which Paisley just ordered.
Do you not go up and knock on their doors and say, I'm here from Kitsap Harvest, I'm a volunteer, want to do quick site check, test your fruit. We're working up in a 25-foot box truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
was
like,
gonna say that, oh,
no, you go.
I was just thinking the downside of the site checking, or like the, not downside, but you have to taste a lot of fruit. And that's really kind of the requirement with a site check. It's like, what's this taste like?
You might eat a few bugs.
It's not bad. It really isn't. It's kind of, it's all right.
I do feel like it's one of the more fun volunteer things. It's like, just go look at fruit trees and eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Well,
some things that when you're doing site checking that you don't necessarily ask the homeowner. For instance, if I was doing a site check at a place and I was thinking of the truck, I would look around the immediate area and I'd be thinking about the truck and kind of looking to see whether, you know, oh, okay, is this in a neighborhood where there's streets and we can park, you know, on this cul-de-sac right in front of the home? Or is this home on 6 acres and there's a driveway and a clearing where we could, you know, come in with the truck and, you know, we'll be able to, you know, navigate and turn around. I would make those observations myself, and then I would let the homeowner know that, you know, we're probably thinking about bringing on our truck in. And it looks like right over there is a good spot to park it or turn around. Is that going to be okay? And that's usually more appropriate. And the same with the fruit. I would go out and look at the fruit with the homeowner. You know, usually they kind of want to point out, okay, these are the 3 trees I'm going to let you pick from. Those other 2 trees over there, those are for the rest of our family. And then, you know, they pointed out 3 trees. I would go over and actually look at the fruit, pick some, cut them open, see what kind of, you know, condition they're in. How many apples or how many plums are on this tree? Is this a job for 2 people or is this a job for like 8 people? So there are all these sort of determinations that you have to make while you're there physically that you can't really come up with by doing Google Maps or any other, you know, kind of um, you know, technology like that.
Yep. Yeah, and we have documentation on what a site checker should look for, and then we have a form and it asks you questions So it also like prompts you to think about all those different things. But it doesn't take that long to fill out. It's pretty easy. But yeah, I was thinking like, just because I'm going to be doing these site checks this week, but I think we'll need to put together like a list of volunteers who are like determined to be site checkers, and then hopefully people can just be like, okay, I'll go check this out, and then they fill out the form, and then it's just right there on Airtable connected to the site, and then we just have all that information in that one spot.
And Stephanie, I think one of the things I like about the form that you created for that process, for new volunteers that want to be site checkers, is you've helped create like, these are the things you're looking at and how to document it. So even if you don't know, you've documented it for the planner who is looking and does kind of understand what those things mean, maybe more so. I just think that you've created a way that you don't have to be the fruit tree expert, kind of like we have been in the past, with being able to identify like what kind of bugs or what you're looking at is scab, good or bad. Yeah, I think you've made it easier for other volunteers to start helping out and start learning, because I think that's like, yeah, that's all I want to say. I think it's easier
Thanks.
now.
Yeah, I hope so. And then I think I mentioned this before, but we just ordered lanyards that say Kitsap Harvest. And this is something we've gone like, Kitsap Harvest doesn't have a huge budget. So it's like, what can we find to help identify volunteers so that they don't feel like they're just like walking up to people's houses, like totally unidentified. And I was like, we were thinking like hats, t-shirts, that kind of thing. But the cheapest thing was a lanyard. And so we've got some cool green, they're green, right, Paisley?
Yeah.
Green.
I think I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we can like get you little name tags. So you can feel very professional and not worry about them wondering who you are. Sort of.
During the COVID, when I volunteered for COVID, they wanted to know what my name was. So I told them next time I volunteered like for traffic, they made me a little badge. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, they gave that to me, the little, it was like, there's Robert, and then with a little clip on it and stuff, and I just clip it to myself, and they go, all right. But it didn't say I was part of the DEM or anything. It just had my name on it. I felt like I was part of the team then.
Yeah.
Wonder, Stephanie, I mean, like, so your site checkers have their lanyards and stuff, but I'm thinking on that cluster glean, if someone had a name tag made for them, could it stay in that kit? Like, do you think that gleaner is going to come back, or do you think they leave with it, or do you, just keep the badge and then they return the? I don't know if I had a question. Thought I had a question, and then I lost myself.
How does the warehouse do it? They leave them at the warehouse, right?
I don't know how well that's working. So consistently, Ire or
Yeah,
Ashley.
a lot of the folks leave them at the warehouse, but a few of them keep them like in their car or in their bag.
Okay.
Are they wearing them on site like consistently then, and they do remember and it does happen?
Most people remember, and it's always like part of the new people's thing is to get a sticker, and write their name on it. But there's, it's not super strict. But most people are.
Yeah, I did this, or had my little badge thing, just to be able to get to know who people were, names and faces.
I wonder if there's like a check-in, check-out process, and then that's when that lanyard gets dropped back off with the bin. And
Mm.
I don't know if you're checking out an equipment or it's just a, you know, it's what you do before you leave or when you get there, you check in and then before you leave, and that's an accountability process. And then that
Mhm.
helps us keep our lanyards and the name tag
Yeah.
for when they return.
I
Yeah.
mean, I was thinking too, like the lanyards, I think they cost like $3 each or something. I'm just kind of estimating, but I was like, if somebody commits to being a site checker for the whole season, maybe they just keep their lanyard and then at the end of the season they return it. So it's not like this continuous.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. There would be people that would always have their lanyard because they wouldn't. I'm saying for the cluster gleans, when
Oh,
are you gonna
okay.
give all of the volunteers that show up a lanyard for the day? Or no,
No.
no, it's just for the official rules when you're kind of by yourself.
Yeah, that's kind of the thinking. Yeah.
Oh, okay, totally different. Okay,
Yeah. And
yeah.
because we've talked about this with Ed, like he's like, it's probably dangerous to glean with a lanyard. Cause like, yeah. So
Yeah,
maybe not the best,
maybe not.
um, but okay, real quick, I wanted to show you, I pulled this up. This is this post glean form. So I just wanted to quick go over this because I was excited. It was about like, how do we say we're gleaning 3 different sites? We want to keep all that fruit separate from each other, so that it's not getting all mixed up and we're like, I don't know where this fruit came from. And so the post glean form, you figure out which color, each like site will get a color. And then I have these, let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see. Oops. They're like little, can you guys see? Oh no, where did it go? Do you guys see a photo on the
Yes.
screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they're like little laminated colored cards. And these fit right into the crates that we pick the fruit into. So say we're gleaning like at the first site, we determine it's going to be an orange or white because it's first. You like circle white and then you'll fill the rest of the information out. And then all the crates that are picked from with fruit with that site, you'll just put that little white tag in the front of every crate that's in there. So it's just a way to keep that so that when you're moving the fruit out into the warehouse, it's just clear which fruit is coming from which site. And it just helps with like record keeping. But I'm probably more excited about that than any of you guys, but I just got excited. It was fun laminating. But anyways,
I was a team manager for soccer teams, and I had my own laminator because I used to make up the cards. You know, the cards you get from the soccer, and then player cards that you have to laminate it, put it on a ring, and then hand it to the referee every game. And he's in there, and he checks the players and stuff. But yeah, that's cool.
yeah. Yeah, so we'll see how that works. But okay, well, thank you guys all for being here. If you haven't signed up for the Glean yet, I would love it if you guys wanted to, like if everybody on this call signed up for the Glean, I think that'd be a really good number of people to just start off with. And then we can kind of just see where we go from there. If you can't make it, that's totally fine. But yeah, we'll have one more meeting next week. Oh, and that's something we didn't talk about is meetings like going forward, but we can talk about that next week. So yeah. And if you guys have any questions or thoughts, just email me or you can call me as well. So yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good night,
All right.
everyone.
Night.
Thank you.
Bye.
So where's your party at?
Yeah.
You having a party? Going away party?
Kitsap Harvest is throwing me something. I don't know what it is.
You don't know where it's at?
They just said June or July 13
All right.
that there's going to be something, but I don't know.
Hey, then Ira's still on here. For Monday, are you getting more food from Bremerton Food Line? Ira,
Ire.
she's muted.
I wonder if
I'm
she.
here.
Oh, there she is.
I just stepped away to turn on the hose.
Yeah,
I'm gardening at the same time. So I have to look one more time at Bremerton Food Line, but it looks to me like we're not going to be getting free food from them very often at all. I thought, well, Paisley made it sound like we would be getting it every Monday, and then Brandy was like, well, it's not always, and then Ed was like, I think it's rarely. So
where is Bremerton Food Line?
it's not very far from our old warehouse. It's just in Bremerton. I'm not very good at telling
Now
places.
the